Welcome to PECO, the home of PECO Model Railways, PECO Publications, the Railway Modeller and Continental Modeller, and Pecorama, the railway-themed tourist attraction.
PECO has evolved into these three businesses: a manufacturer, a publisher, and a tourism attraction. We're here to produce products that people really enjoy using, and we're here to produce a magazine that entertains and educates and enthuses them. And we're here to give them a nice day out in a train ride. People are really surprised when you say, oh yeah, down there we have a factory. We manufacture this huge range of products. We've got sort of 3,000 products across the various ranges we produce. And the majority are produced here in beer. Even long-standing enthusiasts, I've had people say that, oh, I thought it was all made in China. It's really nice to be able to go, no, we make it here in sunny Devon. So I think that really surprises a lot of people. People who don't even know much about the hobby, equally, they'll sort of say, oh, I've sort of wondered what happens down there. And they don't necessarily associate the tourism site with anything else at all. It's nice to be able to put people in the picture.
Well, PECO started back in 1946 and was founded by both my father and mother, Sidney Pritchard, and his wife, Claudine. And in those days, finding employment was really quite tricky and difficult. My father sort of thought about his hobby prior to the wartime, and his hobby really was model railways, and it had been railways ever since childhood. My father, like many children in his youth, was given a train set for Christmas. From that very early days, he became an enthusiast. It so happened during the war he developed a coupling, and he was able to sell this coupling to Hornby, and so a royalty was agreed, a farthing per coupling, and this is the coupling design. This is actually the prototype my father took to Hornby up in Liverpool, and they were impressed with it and they actually started using it. But my father was allowed to actually make it for himself and sell it. That's how it was actually packaged back in sort of the early 50s, and that's a later design, and you can see the price is 1 and 6, that's 7.5p, and today we still sell this coupling, would you believe? So it's evolved, but we're still selling that very same product umpteen years later, which is quite amazing really. But that income of 1 farthing per coupling was sufficient for him to start up business. My father's main interest in many respects was railways as a whole, but he had a passion for track work. And so he decided that that's where the main product would be. And that is actually still the main core business today. Because of that period of time, we've actually developed all different methods of manufacture. And we are now probably the largest manufacturer in the world. The business started in the village of Branscombe, which is just a few miles west. He then moved to a little place establishment in Sidmouth. We then moved to Seaton, and from Seaton we came to Beer. My father found this site here, which we're on today, and we decided to build a factory first. The factory was opened in 1971, and then the offices moved in the end of 1973. Not until, in fact, the factory had moved did we realise we'd actually acquired a rather magnificent location. And my father felt this location is something we need to share with everybody. And so we then developed Pecorama as it is today. In a very small way it started. Indoor exhibition first, then we started a passenger carrying railway, and then the gardens developed and the catering side developed, and so on and so forth. The whole of the Pecorama is to inspire people who come to see us actually into the hobby of model railways. My father was at the helm of the business right up more or less to the time of his death. Then I became obviously the main person in the company with my fellow directors, Eugene Salter at that time. And I've been managing director since that period up until 2015, when I was very pleased to hand over to my nephew Ben.
I think that the company is well known for being family business and being so involved in the local community as well. It's a hobby that spreads around the world, and so we currently export to 34 countries around the world, some direct to shops, but more often through distributors. So below us on the Pecorama site we have the PECO factory. In the factory we have about 80 staff manufacturing products across the PECO brands. We have almost 3,000 products in total that they produce. We have a moulding facility, injection moulding facility. Obviously a lot of our products are plastic injection moulded. Some of those products are insert moulded, so they have metal rail parts inserted into the tools and the plastic is injected around those. The operators are very careful to watch for quality and short mouldings, and the moulded products will go into the factory either to be packaged, or they might have some further work to be done, whether it be an electronic component. They might have items added to them to finish them off, or the turnouts points will have springs and tie bars added. All very fiddly jobs and done very skillfully by our staff. All stages of the assembly are checked for quality, checked for electrical continuity if that's what's required, before being packaged and passed through to the stores. One of our main products that people know us for is our yard lengths of flexible track, and we do that in scales from Z up to gauge 1, so a huge range of products. Currently the machine will produce about 100 cartons of track a day, and each carton contains 25 lengths of track, so it's about 2,500 lengths of track a day disappear somewhere, which is fantastic. Within the factory we also have our tool room. We manufacture all our own injection moulding tools and metal press tools. We've got some great bits of equipment in there with high-speed milling, we've got spark erosion, we've got wire erosion, we've got laser milling machines. We do spraying and printing of small-scale wagons. We have a specially designed spray booth for painting the wagons. We've recently invested in some new technology for printing the wagons, which is a UV-cured inkjet printer effectively. So that allows us to produce a small volume of wagons, where previously we had to produce at least sort of 200 or 300 to make it viable to set up and run. So we can now run smaller volumes, 50 to 100 very easily, which has opened up a new market for us of special edition wagons for customers. We have a press area where we manufacture all the rail parts for the tools and point blades. So this is a small scale metal press work, so cutting and forming nickel silver sheet or cropping the rail profile to various lengths and shapes. So we publish 2 monthly magazines, Railway Modeller, which covers railways from around the UK, and Continental Modeller, which covers everything else. The concept is that it's all there to support the hobby, and promote the hobby of model railways, obviously promote PECO brand products as well. But we've always been quite cautious to make sure that it's seen as being its own brand or its own product. We don't plaster it too much with PECO, but obviously everybody knows that it's our product. But I think again they appreciate that because of the type of company we are, we're not shoving anything down their throats. It's all just quite nicely done, and thankfully, you know, the Railway Modeller is still the #1 selling railway modelling title in the UK. The magazine is published all here in-house in Beer. We pull together articles that we do in-house. We pull together articles from contributors, a designer that puts the pages all together. They pore over the details of editing text and editing photographs, and then once it's all complete, a set of PDFs is sent to our printers in Wolverhampton. They produce a beautifully printed magazine. All the details that most people won't really see, that we pour over, the quality of the photos, the quality of the paper, and we want our magazine to be that product as well, you know, something that people are sort of proud to have on their coffee table, and you know, it looks like a quality product. We try and show layouts across the spectrum, from beginners layouts through to very experienced modelers layouts, because we don't want to put people off. We don't want it to be so highbrow that people think, oh well, I can never achieve that. We want people to have a go, because it does take practice, as with everything, you know.
Our market is actually for everybody. It's not just for the top end of model makers, but we do specialise in making top quality products. And we like to think that anything that leaves our factory here is actually at the top end of the market. Railway modelling is appealing to many, many different types of people in all sorts of walks of life. And it's appealing because it actually encompasses many, many different skills. There's just the railway aspect, laying the track and building the railway. But actually to do that part, you've got to first build a baseboard, so you need to be a bit of a carpenter or joiner. You need to be an artist because there's the background and laying the scenery, and then of course there's the research on the railway if you want to do that. Some people actually run their railways to timetables.
Well, I love it. It's a lovely escape from whatever the rest of the world is, whatever's going on. I mean, it's the perfect escape to a different world, which you can just open the door on, and then you don't want to close the door, and that's the trouble.
The hobby can be an activity that the whole family can enjoy and get together, and whether that's the process of building the layout or going to shows and exhibitions together, doing the research. You will often see the family split up jobs on the layout. It can be something that will bring a whole family together as well.
Our staff are our most important asset. One mustn't forget that. I like to try and know everybody, and they get to know me as well, which is all rather nice. And I think they all enjoy that. We are now in our third generation. My father, Sidney, myself, Michael, and now my nephew, Ben. So that's number 3. And we're looking forward to the next generation thereafter, which we don't know who that will be, but for sure someone will come along, hopefully within the family, to take it on into the possibly the next century.
The quality of the products, the quality of the magazines, the quality of the experience that people come to PECO for is hugely important to us. Having just celebrated our 70-year anniversary, I do hope that we can be saying the same thing in another 70 years' time.